So, you've got the basics of Lightning Web Components down, right? But what's the next step? How do you actually jump from those simple exercises to building a real enterprise-scale application? Well, that's the gap we're closing today. Let's dive into the architect's blueprint for doing it the right way.
And that's a huge question, right? Building an app isn't just about making it work for today. It's about creating a foundation that's scalable, maintainable, and built on proven best practices. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how the pros do it.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with the mission, what are we even building? Then we'll get into the blueprint, the folder structure. After that, we'll look at the building blocks, the components themselves, sprinkle on some polish for the user experience, and wrap it all up with the key principles you've got to remember.
Okay, first things first. Every single great project starts with a super clear mission. I mean, think about it. An architect doesn't just start drawing lines, right? They need to know what the building is for. It's the same for us. We have to define the what before we even start thinking about the how.
So, what's our mission? We're building an account management dashboard. This is a classic. You'll see this kind of thing everywhere. Users need to be able to do all the standard stuff, what we call CRUD operations. Create, read, update, and delete accounts. But, and this is super important, it's not just about the functions. They need clear feedback. Things like loading spinners when something's happening, and clear success or error messages. Honestly, if you can nail this, you've got the foundation for countless projects in Salesforce.
Okay, mission accepted. Now it's time to lay the foundation. A clean, logical folder structure isn't just about being neat and tidy. It's the actual architectural blueprint. It's what makes an application scalable and easy to work on years down the road.
Now this is where the magic starts to happen. Look at this structure. Every folder has a very specific job. The base folder, that's for your totally reusable, independent stuff, like a loading spinner you might use anywhere. Feature, that's for the components that do the heavy lifting, the actual business logic, like our account list. Pages are the big containers, the things you actually drop onto a Lightning page. And finally, utils is for all your shared helpers, like a little function to pop up notifications. This separation of concerns, it's the secret sauce to keeping your code from turning into a tangled mess.
All right, blueprints down on paper. Now it's time for the fun part, assembling the actual building blocks. These are the individual components that are going to bring our dashboard to life. And just like in our folder structure, each one has a very specific role to play. So first up, we've got the page component. I want you to think of this as the general contractor on a construction site. Its main job is to manage the overall layout and tell the other components what to do. The key takeaway here is that it doesn't get its hands dirty with the nitty-gritty business logic. It delegates that work down to the feature components.
Okay, so let's talk about one of those feature components, like our account list. This is where the real work gets done. It's responsible for grabbing data from Apex, and it uses the @wire service to do it. And that's a huge best practice, because @wire gives us this reactive, cacheable way to get our data, which is amazing for performance.
But wait, what happens when a user does something? Like they click a button or submit a form to create a new account. Well, for that, we switch gears and use what's called imperative Apex. Unlike @wire, which kind of runs on its own, imperative calls are something we trigger on purpose, like from a save button click. This gives us total control over when we change or create data.
Okay, check out this flow for a delete operation. It's a perfect example of how clean this communication can be. The user clicks delete. The component doesn't freak out and try to do everything itself. No way. Instead, it sends up a little signal, a custom event, to its parent. The parent catches it and says, time to call the Apex method to delete the record. Once that's done, the list automatically refreshes. See how that works? It's a super predictable, decoupled, and maintainable pattern. Love it. So, at this point, our dashboard works. It's functional, but it doesn't feel professional yet. The next step is all about adding that polish. It's the little details that really separate a clunky tool from a truly great user experience.
And I mean, just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got this clunky experience, abrupt screen changes, weird system errors. Nobody likes that. But on the right, it's polished. We've got a reusable spinner to show that something's happening in the background, and friendly toast messages to confirm success or explain what went wrong. This isn't just about making things look pretty, this is about building trust with your user.
So how do we pull that off efficiently? Simple. We build a single reusable spinner and stick it in our base folder. Now, the main page component can just turn this one spinner on or off during any data operation, creating, updating, deleting, you name it. This keeps the look and feel consistent and, more importantly, it means we're not writing the same spinner code a dozen times. Dry code is happy code. And that exact same principle applies to our notifications. We create one single Toast utility and put it in our utils folder. Now, anytime any component needs to show a message, it just calls this one little helper. What does that get us? It guarantees that all our success and error messages look and feel exactly the same across the entire app. It's clean, it's professional, and it's so much easier to maintain.
Okay, so we've built our app, we've polished it up. Now let's just zoom out for a second and review the core principles behind all of this. These are the architectural pillars that make sure our application isn't just working today, but that it's also secure, performant, and ready for whatever the future throws at it.
When it comes to performance, we're really leaning on 3 key pillars. First, we mark our Apex methods that just read data as cacheable equals true. This lets the browser store the data, making things feel super fast. Second, we use that @wire service to efficiently connect that data to our components. And third, when the data does change, we use refresh Apex to smartly update the cache without needing a whole page reload. It's a killer combo.
Now, let's talk security, because this stuff is absolutely non-negotiable. Rule 1. Our Apex classes always use with sharing to make sure we're respecting user permissions. Rule 2. Our SOQL queries, that's how we get data, only ask for the specific fields they need, nothing more. And Rule 3, we never show raw system errors to a user. We catch them and show a friendly, helpful message instead. All right, let's wrap this up with a quick recap. The do's and don'ts. Do use a clean, scalable folder structure. Absolutely do separate your layout components from your logic components. And please, do provide clear user feedback with things like spinners and toasts. Now for the don'ts. Don't cram all your business logic into your top-level page components. Don't forget those loading indicators, they're crucial. And for the love of all that is good, don't duplicate your Apex calls or your UI logic. Keep it clean.
You know, this quote here really gets to the heart of what we've been talking about. A well-architected application isn't just about banging out code that works. It's about building a maintainable and scalable solution for the future. It's an investment. Look, what we've gone through here isn't just some abstract demo. It's a real-world template for building robust, professional-grade applications on the Salesforce platform. The structure is solid, the principles are proven, so the only question left is, now that you have the blueprint, what are you going to build?